Greetings, feisty listeners. Warning, the following podcast has language that may be triggering and discusses the topic of unaliving. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, hello, Amber.
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I'm really happy because today doesn't look like any other day around here.
Today is a new day for this podcast. I mean, I should say that. We had this amazing experience a couple of weeks ago where we had a guest join us to talk about Oak Bay Volunteer Services, and that was amazing. Kara was awesome. But I am having a bit of a moment because today's guest is even a little different. I'm really excited because my oldest kid is joining us. And I say kid, but let me be clear. They're not a kid. They're a full-grown adult, but they will always be my kid. So I get to say kid. And I don't mean goat.
No, to confirm, I am not a goat. I'm a real human being.
A real human being.
Yes.
So Azure, who's my oldest kid, has, I don't know, somehow it was Martin's idea. And
Yes, thank you, Martin.
Well, I will say you are greatest of all time.
Well, I'll take that.
oh,
Thank
that's
you.
definitely a goat. You are a goat of greatest of
I
all
can
time.
be that kind of
Yes.
goat, happily.
And,
Yes.
and yes, I did spring this on you.
Mhm.
You did, because we were just, poor Azure. Azure just walked through the room with a cup of tea.
Hey,
And
this
now,
is what I'll say. This is the beauty of being in my mid-20s and living with my family.
whoa.
Happily. I
And you
know.
went there. You're
I
okay
know.
to admit that
Oh
to
my
other
gosh.
people?
Happy to admit it, because you know what? It is a reality for so many 20-somethings, so
Yeah.
many young adults right now, especially because of the economy and the chaos of the world. And for some reason in North America, it's just so frowned upon and stigmatized that you would ever live with your family past 18.
Yeah.
But what have we talked so much about in my moving in with you as an adult is that the whole world does this.
It's
The
true.
world lives
Everywhere
in
other
families.
than like North America.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
is just like not the expectation that you would leave so soon and as
Yeah.
such a baby. Because like I was still a baby when I was 18. I didn't think I was, but I was. And
Well, and in defense of you, you moved out. You didn't live
I
with us
did.
when how was it 17 when you went away to school?
No,
18.
I'd freshly turned 18.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and you moved to the outside of the country.
Yep. Far away as I could
and
get.
you went and you went to university and you did all the right things that you're supposed to do, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
that's what
quote
everyone's
unquote,
supposed to
the
do.
right things.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
air
Didn't work out
quotes.
for me. But
Well, and the irony too is Martin, and I know this, and I'm going to out Martin,
Mm,
is Martin is in the midst right now of actually reimagining how family at your stage of life will cohabitate. And it's not because nobody has enough money, nobody work. It's because it's a choice that you are consciously making with your adult kind of family members, which I think
Yes.
is we're actually in a very similar situation.
So what you're bringing up is exactly what I hope with the conversation would be, which is
Okay.
around, if I'm bringing it back to projects, design.
Okay.
Okay. You're right. I have a huge design going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a design going on because I've been active with my children.
Mm-hmm.
And if we didn't pay attention to, let's call it normative ways of doing things and designed our own thing, what would you come up with? And what I've come to realize is that when I'm open to intergenerational ideas,
Mm-hmm.
other generations have ideas and thoughts well beyond what's going on in our space.
Yeah.
And so the question for today that I would put before you is, how can intergenerational thoughts, as we've got two generations of the same family here, advance our movement in projects in life?
Ooh,
mm.
that feels really weighty.
That's
But
a meaty question.
it was interesting. I thought it was interesting, Azure, that you already kind of went there and talked about how the traditional decision at 18 to go to university to get a degree, it didn't work for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't it work for you, do you think? And I'm asking as your mother, I mean, yeah, in theory, I know, but I've never asked you maybe directly that question. And I'm curious
Mm.
what comes to mind as the answer.
So the question being, why didn't it work for me
Yeah,
to move out?
why didn't it work for you to do I graduated high school
Yeah.
and then I went to university and I'm doing a 4-year degree and then I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to be an adult. That isn't what happened.
Yeah.
Why do you think? I mean, I think there's one blaringly obvious detail that happened in the middle.
Yeah, lots of things. I think first thing that comes to mind is just I'm weird. Like, I think that's like, I know there's been so much conversation. I know definitely in my generation, the last chunk of years, about like neurodivergence, neurodiversity,
Yeah.
different brains, different kinds of people. And things don't work. The same thing doesn't work for everyone. Like, I know you'll know when I just going through school, like I was in school, public school, classic
Yeah.
expectation. And then I was different than the rest of my class. And I remember the teacher conference when you had to come in and the teacher was like, please slow down your kid. We're not going to help them. We don't have the infrastructure. And you were like, screw that. And you homeschooled me for my young childhood.
I'm sorry.
Well, we have shit there, but that's okay. We don't need to dig into everything in this podcast. It's like, what, 20 minutes? So anyway, so there was that piece, but then going back into public school, like I struggled socially in lots of ways. The structure was different, but like the academic was never an issue for
No.
me. It was the social, it was the how do I be a human? How do I base my humanness around the humans I see around me, even if it doesn't feel authentic? But like I'm still a child, so it's just so confusing.
Yeah.
And even high school, I didn't graduate high school classically.
No.
I like almost died of an iron deficiency in grade 11. Left big, scary high school, went to a weird hippie school on Saturna Ecological Education Center, for those curious.
Which is a small island off the coast of the island we live on.
Yes, so
which
it's
is a
like
big
double
island.
tiny island.
That's right.
And even that felt too high school for me, so I homeschooled myself to graduation the last half of my last year, and I graduated on my own terms. So, like, if I look at my school thing, like,
Yeah.
none of that worked for me.
Right.
And I don't think public school is set up to work for everyone. It's just set up to kind of institutionalize and set a general, okay, this we've all agreed this is what we're going to do with the children.
Right.
And it's just going to have to work for everyone, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing is the case with the expectation to move out at 18, go to university, start your life, start a family in your mid 20s and go from there, get a long-term job,
house.
get a 9 to 5, like all of these
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So I think part of my generation, what I'm really feeling in the people my age that I'm talking to is that we're like, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
if that doesn't work for us, we don't want to feel the expectation to have to do it.
Right.
And for some people, it actually does work for them. Like getting a 9 to 5, going to university, they have their job they want to do, they get into it, they love it, they do the family thing young, that's great, and they really love it. But I think my generation, we're really in such a space, probably partially due to COVID too, of just like questioning, why are we doing something that we've just been told to do?
Well, it's like COVID split your 4-year degree in half.
Yeah.
And that also ended your tenure in your 4-year degree.
Yes.
Although you went back after COVID hit.
Well, I
but
did
it was
one
like-
online semester and then
I
I
know.
was like, this is ridiculous. And I never finished that degree.
But I got it. So yes, I know COVID was a factor, but I think you're right. It wasn't just COVID. It was just that COVID made it like, it's almost like COVID forced everyone to pause.
Mhm.
And then on the other side of COVID, I think particularly younger generations were like, no way. We're doing it
like
our
a
way.
full reevaluation of what are we doing here? Like,
Right.
what's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like even the work that you've been attracted to,
Mhm.
fascinating. You've done some amazingly interesting
Yeah.
like work. And yet also, you did something that like shook me as your mother.
What was that?
Well, as it
Which
related to
thing
work. Well, no.
specifically?
Okay.
Was
You're
that?
right. I should
There's a
be
few things that
specific.
have probably shaken up.
No, but what shook me was you were like, I can't work anymore. I cannot do this. This is a toxic environment for me. You had a very articulate, reasoned out understanding of why this current job that you had at the time wasn't working for you. And you just said, I'm done. And you gave notice and you left and you didn't work for a very kind of long season of a year. And I just, what was amazing to me also was like I don't know that you consciously prepared for that. How does anybody consciously prepare for that? But you also, because you had been such a good, you had been good with money, you had some freedom there to not you didn't go on social assistance and you supported yourself. Now, I mean, you also lived a very different lifestyle.
There was some drama going on there at the time.
But you didn't. What I mean is that you scaled in order to not work. And that, as a professional for me, the idea of just walk away from a job. It's funny. I coach my clients often to do this, that if you're in a toxic work situation, you need to choose you. But then I'm like, my kid actually did that. And you're still here to talk about it and able to talk about it. And like, to me, that was incredibly impressive. Whether you were consciously trying to impress me, probably wasn't. But
Yeah.
but like, how did you know, or how did you, like, what tipped the scales for you where you were like, no, I'm not going to work here anymore. Like, I can't do this anymore.
The scale tipping for me has been like literal incapability in my body and my mind and my soul. And you know this, Mom, because you're my mom. I'm a very sensitive baby in all the things that I do. Very sensitive to energy around me, sensitive to physicality, sensitive to people's emotions. I'm just very sensitive. And it just got to a point where I was like, I don't know which job specifically you're talking about, because I feel like I've done this to in a couple of different areas.
Okay, well, take a pick. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But in some cases it's literally been like a physicality, like my body has broken down. And I think that's probably communicating to me in retrospect that like it was already emotionally, spiritually bringing me down in so many ways that finally my body started to give out and I started to not physically be able to work without like aches and pains and like so much of that. So I think really it's been like feeling like there's no other choice that I have, and I have to trust that if I honor my body and not break it down and burn myself out and let myself go off the rails, then like it's going to work out somehow.
Right. And it did.
It
And it
really
does.
has. Yeah, and it does and continues to. And I have a lot of privilege, and I'm super grateful to have you and Dad and just my family out here to like lean on and support me, because I've really needed that. And I know a lot of people don't have that, and that can make feeling that you're able to leave a toxic environment so much more difficult when you don't have those supports. But for me, yeah, I'm just, it's made all the difference for me.
So you just said something really wonderful there, which was around the support you had. You and I have had many a conversation over the years, and I've had to grow and learn because you've had different ways of looking at the world that have been challenging.
Yeah.
Have been challenging overall. So here's a question that I would love if you could do for everyone out there who doesn't necessarily understand a non-neurotypical way of looking at life. What is it you experience that you would want them to know about what you're going through?
It's a really good question. Well, I think I'll bring up the big mental health. Like that is such a thing. And for me, like I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I'm also diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and an anxiety disorder. And I mean, I have my own feelings about the DSM-5 and psychiatry and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what I do see as reality there is that there are different patterns in different brains based on biology, based on genetics, based on the life experiences you've had in early childhood and beyond. So for me, like if I'll get super real, let's go for it.
Please.
Like I remember working at a cafe for a while when my body was breaking down. I was exhausted, very addicted to cannabis and like smoking a lot of cigarettes and like that. There was I was only sober at work. It was the only way I could be because the demons were so loud. And I remember being sober at work, working at a freaking cafe job. Like I'm making lattes. Like I'm talking to people. I'm cutting up sandwiches in the back and pouring drinks. Like that's what I'm doing. And in my brain, I just have these voices screaming at me to kill myself. And I remember thinking like that went on for so long. And I didn't know how to articulate that that's what was going on. And then I'm gaslighting myself in my head. Like I shouldn't be feeling this horrible. What's wrong with me? Until finally one day I was like, this can't be normal. The coworkers I'm working with right now are probably not having all of this internal dialogue go on inside of them that's making them want to like take their own life while they're working like a minimum wage chill job. And so that also became, I think, like a scary thing for me where I was like, there's something really real here, but because it's not being talked about, because I don't feel like this is something that anyone else is going through around me, like I'm not safe to bring it up, or it's not a real enough reason to leave. I think that was another thing for me. It was like, oh, because it's all in my head. Because that's even the way I was raised. Like, there's a lot more talk about mental health now, which is great. But even growing up, there was less. So there was still this idea of like, oh, you're depressed? Well, it's all in your head.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
that was the only context I knew.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But also, and it's not even just you, like society,
No,
schools,
yes, I know.
people, everything. But even, that's also like, it's nail on the head. Like, yeah, it is all in my head. Where do I live? My head. Like,
Right.
that's where we all live. So if there's something going on inside,
Right.
it's screwing with us. It's affecting everything that we do
Mm.
and making everything extremely challenging. So really, I was showing up to work 40 hours a week, but I did not have a life outside of that. I did not have connection to my family.
Mhm.
I was living with a partner that was not a good relationship for me. And my world was so small and had no joy in it. And finally something in me switched and I'd had enough and I couldn't do that to myself anymore. And I'm
Mhm.
so grateful I made that call.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I was not raised with any context for mental health.
Yeah.
I was not allowed to contemplate it. I was not, and that's not a dig at my upbringing either. Nobody my age
Yeah,
had
exactly.
that environment. So
Mhm.
what we understand now, and let's face it, we don't all understand it. And I know I'm speaking with privilege as well because I feel like I have a grasp and an understanding that even my peers also don't, just because they may not have gone through the same experiences that I have. Obviously, being a mom to a child, a kid who has gone through those things, and is in relationship with that child, because a lot of my peers and colleagues don't have relationships with their adult children,
Mm.
and part of it is because I think it is too hard to imagine that they've been raised so differently, even though
Mm.
we were the ones that raised them. We're still in denial that their experience of childhood was not what ours was. And I find that ironic. But that also is because the barrier to mental health, like it, it's only through you embracing and understanding yours and doing that journey, transparently sharing that with me, that I have even begun to look at my own.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean I haven't had that issue or
Yeah.
challenge. It simply means I just was never allowed to look at it from that perspective. And now that I do, I recognize, wow, I probably could have been more, well, I know I could have been more supportive as a mother. I certainly could have created far more safety for you psychologically than I had any capacity to. But I recognize I couldn't, and I didn't because I didn't have the knowledge.
Mhm.
But you have helped give me that knowledge.
Mhm.
And of course, that's not what you were doing. You're just trying to survive. But in your surviving and sharing, that's allowed me to equip myself with the knowledge of, oh my gosh. So now I put that on me and I go, oh, we don't talk enough about mental health, and certainly not in professional environments. And our expectations are that people are just to put in the 40 hours. And in my case, the 80 hours or the
Mhm.
65 hours or the 120 hours.
Yeah.
Because what? Like, why are we doing that? And I don't get to ask myself whether I feel like it or not, but you do. And I just like, I applaud you for that, even though it really is hard for me to imagine doing it for myself. But I think you're onto something there, kiddo. Like, I really do.
Thank
And I don't know what that is, but I feel like choosing you over sacrificing yourself so that others can be pleased that you've met with their expectations. I just don't think that is healthy for any of us. But I realize that's what I've done a good portion of my career. Hey, you, Martin, you work for the military. Isn't that exactly what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suck it up, buttercup, right?
But you hit the word, just really hit it. There was one word you had in there that was wonderful. And the question I want to ask you is specifically around support.
Mm.
There were times you felt you didn't have the support you wanted and times when you really felt supported. So for those who are listening today who might have someone in their life going through what you're going through,
Mm.
what are some things to be considered in that support world
Mm.
that can bring
Mhm.
mental health awareness, just cognition of in the workplace, in the family? What's your best piece? Speak to the world.
Mm.
Okay, well,
No pressure.
no
No
pressure,
no
nothing
pressure.
at all. I
And we got
know.
like 8 minutes left.
All right,
Okay.
let's dig.
Unravel it for us, Azure.
So biggest thing I would say, and I had to learn this lesson in university with a friend I was making at the time, and it's so hard for like empathetic people like myself especially for my mother. You still have not fully learned this lesson, but I don't really ever expect you to because of the mother-child thing.
Whoa!
Get ready.
Did you hear that? The feisty Pam is getting slammed.
Feisted. Okay.
This is feisty.
So, you cannot force help on people who are not ready to accept it.
Yeah.
And for me, like I think in some ways, how do I even? I feel like that's my like mic drop moment. I want to keep talking about it, but I'm like I feel like I also want to sit in that a little bit because it is so true. Because I know I have wanted help or thought I wanted help in lots of moments, but it's really just sort of been this like me going through my own thing, not feeling like I can accept it or like I deserve it, and I've had to come to a place where I care and love and respect myself enough to see that I'm deserving of help because there is help around me. And really throughout all of my times, there have been definitely different levels of support that have been around me, but there's always been support somewhere. It's just whether or not I've been ready to accept it yet. And so I feel like what I would say for someone who has someone in their life who's really going through it and they want to help and they want to support, but they don't know how, I think like don't force it because what I also know from experience is that having someone trying to force help upon me makes me feel like they are an unsafe person that I actually now definitely cannot go to for support because they're going to want to do it their way. They're going to see me and see, I know how to fix you. And they're going to force me somehow to do things a different way than I'm actually able to. That like, does this make sense? I feel like I'm losing
Yes.
my words
Oh,
a
no,
little
no,
bit.
No, it does. I just want to speak to something
Yeah,
that just
please.
occurred to me, but I think it's occurred to me before, but it's really hitting me right now. And that is, I want to force my help on you in those moments
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah. Mm,
It's not for you.
well said. Yeah.
And it's because I feel powerless as your parent. It's because I'm completely biased to wanting to help because I know what to do.
Mm,
And it's ironically me trying to create safety for me.
mm,
And I don't even in those moments slow down enough to think about how it will feel for you to receive that
mm,
because I'm so wound up in me. And the irony, of course, is that I'm wound up in me giving you help, but it doesn't make it like it's still self-centered. It's
yeah.
still completely ego-driven.
Mm.
And it's a complete move about me and not you.
Well, and to your credit, it is coming from a place of love and care. Like when we have these moments still even now, um, where like I'll say, "Oh, I'm going through this thing right now," and you're like, "Okay, well, let's do this, and we can do that, and you can do," and I'm like I know it's coming from a place where like you see me and you love and care for me so much that
Mhm.
you want to do anything you possibly can to make my life better and help me feel better, help me feel empowered in my life. Like I know cognitively now that's where it's coming from. But in those moments,
Mm.
what I really need is just to be met where I'm at
Yeah.
and just have you sit there with me and be like, oh, hun, that
Yeah.
sucks. I'm so sorry. I'm here for you in whatever way you need me to be. And
And then just wait.
and then just like hold the space and like help me feel seen. I think a lot of people, when they're in like the depths of hell in their own lives, they just want to feel seen, or it's too scary to feel seen. But what they really do need is to feel seen in that. And not like anyone's going to come in and like shake anything up, but like just that, like, I'm witnessing my fellow human
Yeah.
be a human and go through human stuff.
Right.
And be here waiting with open arms whenever you are ready to accept the help, whenever you are ready to accept the support. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I have 2 words. They're my words, not
Uh-huh.
yours, but tell me if I've got it.
Bring it.
I'm hearing acknowledge and affirm.
Mhm.
Acknowledge that this is where you are and affirm that this is your space.
Mhm.
I don't have to agree, disagree with it. This is,
Yeah.
I see you, and however I can provide this space. Is that what you're trying to say?
I really I like acknowledge and affirm. I would add one more: acceptance. And this idea of radical acceptance. I think this has been a huge tool in my own life with just living. And I think it's a huge tool I'm now also learning is helpful in other relationships. If
Mhm.
I meet someone and I embody that space of radically accepting exactly who they are, exactly where they're coming from, exactly where they're at right now, there's no judgment. There's no crap that gets all stirred up. I can just be there to witness and see them. And yeah, so I'd love those two words. I would just lob acceptance onto that. AAA. Let's go.
AAA.
AAA.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm listening to you two talk about that, and like everything about what you're saying feels so awesome and also abstract to my own upbringing.
Yeah.
And I would just say, you know, I as a professional, I see this often. You know, in a work environment, you have people that say, well, I don't understand what they're doing. Don't they understand they have to do it this way? And that's the way it's done. And I just hear this back and forth about like expectations and other people not doing it the right way. And I realize it's because who they are and how they see the world is so abstract to the other person.
Yes.
So even the intergenerational differences, it's abstract thinking. And we're still human, we have similar experiences, but the way we have seen the world makes when someone else comes along, it just makes it almost it's inconceivable to begin to understand it. And it takes great curiosity.
Yes.
And in my case, you know, as a parent, it certainly has taken love. It's taken the filter of love and nothing else. I've had to throw a lot of other stuff out and just hold on to love. And at the same time, recognize that, you know, I also have to do work myself. Like I was saying earlier, you sort of inspire me to see the world differently. And then I can't just go, oh, that's interesting, and then go back to my old way, because then I live in my abstract. And I'm like, no, I don't want to live in that abstract. I actually want to be present. I want to be authentic. And I want to kind of think about how I can change my mind and or how I can let go of my expectations. And, you know, around the work thing, like watching you just recognize that staying in a toxic work environment was going to cost you too much. Like, I've never learned that lesson myself. I should have. You know, in the multiple experiences I've had, I was in very similar situations to you, physically ill, but I was still going to work every day.
Yeah.
And the reason I was doing that was because I was being motivated by a part of myself that is so abstract from the way you hold yourself, that I realize like I'm in awe of you and your ability to do that. And it's something I'm still learning. And also when I talk to other people, and even Martin, you and I talk about this, like, why do we not prioritize our own mental health, physical health, spiritual health? You mentioned Azure. Why do we not? Because those are not things that we ever were, in our age and stage of demographic, we were ever told to value. And somehow, even though I was never taught to value that, I somehow instilled valuing that in you, but it skipped me. I don't know how I did that. Like, I don't know. But I think this is also the dichotomy that we struggle with, right? Yeah.
And I think you hit it right on the head there, Amber, which is about learning. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming today for the conversation.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I think you learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope to never not be learning when my kid is talking.
That's right. And for all of our listeners, I hope you learned a lot too, because I don't think this conversation is over. I think it's just beginning.
Yeah. Thank you, Azure.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you so much for having me, though.
Yeah, it was great.